a failure of a business is a lesson. Okay? As long as you're doing something that is within your limits. Okay, if you're doing something that you're able to do. Okay, if you try and like just dip your toe in something in a new business. Okay, I'll put 10% of my time into that. Well, guess what? You're gonna get 10% outcome. If you can't put 110% into something, then don't even try it, because that's where you're gonna fail.
Welcome to Builders, the podcast for impact-driven leaders who are done carrying it all and ready to scale with clarity, strategy, and freedom. I'm your host, Alex Snyder, strategic growth architect, creator of the CEO Recode, and second brain to leaders who are building brilliant companies without sacrificing every ounce of their time, energy, or sanity. Each episode, I sit down with bold leaders who've rebuilt, recalibrated, or redefined what it means to lead well and live well on their own terms. We talk messy pivots, leadership upgrades, tactical wins, and the deep personal work it takes to build a business that actually works for you. If you love the episode, make sure you follow, rate, and share it with another leader who's building big and wants to build smarter. And if you're listening and thinking, damn, I need someone in the guts of my business with me, let's talk. Book your free business breakdown call using the link in the show notes. In 30 minutes, I'll help you pinpoint where blockers in your time, team, or strategy are silently stalling your growth, and define 2 to 3 high impact shifts you can implement now to regain traction and build momentum. Now, let's dive in. Let's build it better. Rob, welcome to Builders. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us today. I cannot wait to talk about all things leadership, business, and you and I also get to talk about fitness, which you know I love. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting. So happy to actually be able to book in with you and do this. This is awesome.
Same. So I always ask, in your own words, if you can tell us who you are and what you are building.
Yeah, I'm Rob Harrison, and I am the co-founder of Magnifyde. I've been ex-military for 12 years service, and then took my sort of engineering degree and knowledge and started building out systems and automations and sales agencies for sales, basically for coaches and agencies worldwide. And it's just been a real fun process over the last few years.
I love that. I got so excited. I didn't introduce you at all. So that was on me. Co-founder of Magnifyde and sales coach extraordinaire. Don't undersell yourself there. I love it. We, of course, are going to kind of talk about all the things. So you mentioned your career in the military, and you've had a really wonderfully winding path to where you are, both in business and in residence, where you live, what you get up to day to day. And so if we go back a little bit, I'd love to start with just any really pivotal moments that shaped your leadership, right? That, I mean, I feel like the military is of course going to come up, but any inflection points or pivots or mentors or, even resounding mistakes that might have been influential.
Yeah, it's quite if you think about it, really, I feel like I'm someone that's done like 20 careers, and from when I was young, obviously I was working from when I was 12 years old all the way through to when I joined the military. I was one of those guys that didn't go to college. I never went to university before I started my career. I initially was going to join the military at 16, and I don't know, I just got a little bit worried about it, and ended up getting in fully properly when I was 21. And that was when I really started to grow up and understand leadership and understand the differences in what people look for in a leader. And it came very quick. I think because I was 21 when I joined. A lot of the guys that join the military are between like sort of 16 and 19 really. So being 21, I kind of stood out as more of a mature candidate as well. And so I was like absolutely fine. And I took on the role of they put me as a class leader in my basic training.
Yeah.
And it was more to do with, they saw that straight away when I turned up, I actually broke one of the records for the running test. We did the obstacle course racing, the obstacle course, sorry, that we did, and I ended up carrying someone across the line because they passed out on the course. Those things that naturally to me was just like, oh yeah, it's just that's my fitness side of things coming out. And they saw that as a leadership role, and they brought me into running sort of my own class, if you know what I mean. It's crazy to think that I didn't even really think of it as a leadership role. And I think the main things that stand out from that in the military is right time, right place, right uniform. If you can just continually do that throughout your career, you're going to go very far because
Yeah.
that's all you need to do. The military look after you for everything else, and they can put everything in front of you. But if you can just turn up in the right place at the right time, wearing the right clothes, that's all they look for. And that was the kind of thing I did consistently, and it allowed me to shine above a lot of other people that couldn't do the basics. So it was very easy to start growing.
I mean, consistency is key, and you are a model of that consistency, right? And I think there is something to be said for the willingness to do the thing and trust the process more days in a row than anyone else will get you there, right? And we hear that preached in different ways. How is that showing up for you in your kind of journey and career, military, fitness?
Yeah, it's one of the places I used to go in a lot. Part of the 12-year career was going out to Norway and spending time in Norway, doing cold weather survival training for the pilots. And the place we were at, and we called it exercise clockwork because you have to be at exact time every single time because it's minus 30 degrees. We're inside the Arctic Circle in northern Norway, and there's never a time where you want to be outside waiting even for 5 minutes. Okay, it's one of those things. So clockwork is super important. So timing was always you never. This is the only time in your naval career, and in my naval career anyway, that you don't ever turn up early. You never turn up 5 minutes early. This is on time every time. And I think when you're in a position where you know that you could actually be in a lot of trouble if you turn up at different times, that the consistency of being there at the right time, doing the right things. And I think like with doing that for many years and then on top having there's always one thing that's been in my head is dedication, consistency, and hard work. Those three things is just what I say all the time to myself because if you put those three things into anything you do, you can be successful at it. But consistency can only come through actually being motivated. Okay, I think discipline can bring some consistency for a short period of time, but discipline can only work and I'm a disciplined guy because of my background, but discipline can happen when you're pushed. Okay, discipline can happen through being accountable with someone. Okay, because someone's telling you to do it and they're doing it. Okay, that's someone's extrinsically motivating you into that. Okay, that's not you motivating yourself, it's someone pushing you. So discipline will always happen. Military will always do that for me. When you leave the military, you've got to do something you enjoy to stay consistent at it.
Mm.
And that's when you've got to find what you enjoy doing and what you want to do to be able to be consistent at certain things to make it happen. Okay, because it will not happen forever. So that's
That's
something
such
that
an
I
interesting
enjoy.
take. Yeah, because such a shift going from such a structured environment that drives you, and then you come out and it's like you need to find your own internal drive and kind of
Yeah,
why.
it
Amazing.
is. It was hard. It was hard to start off with to know that like, oh, if I don't wake up, no one's going to be there to, or if I don't get out of bed, no one's going to be there to tell me to get out of bed like I used to have, and or anything like that. And okay, you're going to be going to this certain place, you're going to be doing this. You've got someone in charge of you.
Yeah.
Like,
And even the group aspect, right? Like everyone else is doing it. We're such pack animals as humans that suddenly you go from like a place where everyone is doing the same thing and so you're doing that to you're on your own and no one's gonna come shout at you. No one's, you know,
yeah, well,
there.
yeah, the biggest team in the world is the military.
Yeah.
That is it. If you look at it, it's the biggest team in the world. Someone there is always going to have your back. No matter how high you get, unless you become the king of England, you're not, there's no one that's going to be in top. You're never going to be on top of everything. So you're always going to have someone looking down on you. There's always going to be someone that's going to be helping you. And when you start your own business and when you start doing stuff on your own and you quit the military, yeah, it's very quickly you realize that, okay, I need to be those people that were looking after me because I need to have that consistency.
That's such an interesting perspective. The biggest team in the world is the military. You never think about it that way, but it is true and it is so structured. So, we just talked about, you need to come out and find what you're meant to do and what drives you. You are now a serial entrepreneur. You've had multiple businesses under your belt. How did you know you were meant to build businesses?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Um, Looking back on it now, I did things when I was younger that was very, very much entrepreneurial that I
Mhm.
didn't realize was entrepreneurial then.
Yeah.
My mum was an entrepreneur. She had about 8 businesses under her. She was
Wow.
amazing at what she did. My dad was full time in the military. She was bringing me and my brother up, like, because my dad wasn't there too often. He was away for probably 9 months of the year. So my mom was there bringing me and brother up and running her businesses. So we obviously I didn't go in there, and I wish I did now, but I wish I wish I understood my mum's businesses a lot more than me just sitting around watching her do her business. But when I when I was younger, I used to see her. She was working all different, doing different meetings at different places and going to different places all the time and running her business, which was amazing. But when I found out, or when I was doing that side of things, I didn't realize until now that there was that was when I was in, even when I was in school, I was one of my mom's businesses was next door to a mobile phone store that sold mobile phones, and I managed to find one of my cousins knew someone that got broken phones basically. So I could take the broken phones to this guy who then fixed them for me, and I took them to school and I'd sell them. And I would sell them to the teachers, I'd sell them to other students, and I'd make decent money out of it. I had the little tuck shop in my locker that that all the kids do. Like you just sell the sweets every day to kids, and then I used to go to Costco and stock up every week. And that thing, it was I was just normal. I didn't really think about it as being, oh yeah, that's my
Mm.
business. And everything. That was just doing something there because I probably came into me from my mum. My uncle was an entrepreneur. My cousins were all entrepreneurs. So it was probably a natural thing that came into me. And then it was only when I was in the military that I realized that, like, oh yeah, I can kind of run different businesses and run different things. And just from as easy things like the tuck shop, like as being in a squadron, in a military squadron, you have like 300 people in one building. And the one thing that was always horrendous when I started was the coffee. And I'm a big coffee drinker and I love a good quality coffee. And so the guy that was running we called it the coffee boat because obviously it's a military, a navy thing. A little coffee shop was run by this guy who really didn't care, and he wasn't really that bothered. I don't think he drank. I think he was a tea drinker, not a coffee drinker. And so I was just there. I was like, man, I was like, this could be so much better. And that was when I took over, and I said to the guy, I said, look, hand me over whatever float you've got left in your money. He did nothing. There was literally like pennies left in it. I said, okay, let me go around. And I built this company out and I built the whole thing. And I ended up having to hand over all the finances to our finance department because it ended up getting so big. There was thousands of pounds in the bank. We had a coffee machine. I got sponsorship for coffee. I managed to get coffee and different things like TVs, DVD players, obviously from back in the day, all those different things sent out to the ships to where our guys were when they're on deployments at entertainment stations. And I was funding them from the profits of this little coffee shop. And I
Wow.
was surprised, and everybody can believe it. It was like, it was amazing. It was huge. I had pretty much everyone from the whole squadron paying a weekly membership to it. And it was like from £1 to £3 a week. That was it. So it was super cheap. But because we were getting sponsored with the coffee, there was the biggest outgoing wasn't there. It was more to do with I was providing breakfast every Friday. I was ordering in with all the cakes and the donuts and all that sort of thing for everybody as well. So it became a big social side of things as well. And everybody would come to this one place every single week and end up running that. I was end up doing more of that than I was my actual job in engineering. But people loved it, and it helped everyone from our commanding officer all the way down to the newest recruit. It was great, and it brought
Love
people together.
that.
It was a nice little area, and that was kind of when I was like, oh, I could run a business. I could
Yeah.
definitely do that. And then I was at a senior level in the military, so I was running a team already. I was in charge of a department, so I had sort of 30 or 40 people underneath me that I had to manage, and then I had to help. And when we're on deployment, it's a 24/7 thing. It's not like you go home and you go back to your family and you forget about the people you work with. You live with the people you work with, you train with the people you work with, you eat with them, everything. So you end up having a great relationship with them, just like a family. So again, with the leadership side of things there, you need to be able to know how to be delicate, be able to talk to people in the right way, and then on top of that, be able to be disciplined and show them discipline as well and make sure they're doing their job correctly.
Yeah.
So
There's so many
it's quite
elements to that story. I'm like, where do we go?
yeah.
You're building community and you saw a gap in a market, you understood the needs, like there's so many things I saw there. So, that experience clearly was a real kind of stress test that highlighted, I think, some of the instinctual business acumen and savvy that you have, right? You saw there was a gap, there was a need, you understood what was important to people, you structured it in an interesting model of like membership, all kinds of things like that, obviously building up partnerships to have the coffee come in from a great vendor for free,
Yeah.
like so amazing. What, like, why Magnifyde and why now?
Wow. There's one thing you mentioned was the stress test. That
Yeah.
was something else I did on the side as well. And so yeah, when I decided that I wanted to be my own boss, okay, I was going to leave the military and I wasn't going to go and work for somebody else. I was going to be moving abroad and I was going to move to Mexico, literally put my house up for rent, leave the Navy. And then the other thing I wanted to do was like, okay, well, what can I? So I was reading a lot of books. I was reading obviously books about being able to be the best person I can possibly be, trying to help like self-help books and everything like that. And it was one of them was like do the stress test. And the stress test is being able to put yourself in a mental and physical position that you know where your limits could be. So if I can do that in a controlled environment, which was still in the military, still in the UK, surrounded by people I know and people I can contact if I need help, then I know that I can do it there and it can be controlled. And if I put myself through limits that I can't control and I do it in a broad situation and a foreign country that I can't control, then I don't know where I would be able to then know where I could go and it could end up in a breakdown. So I did that, and the main thing for me was okay, I had a full-time job in the military. I was running all the stuff that I just said about.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, I did a full renovation project on a house and I also signed up for an Ironman. And I thought,
Okay, I was
okay,
gonna ask
something
you, does
here.
the
Yeah.
Iron Man factor into this?
So that was for me was like, okay, mental and physical. Like, what could be the hardest thing I can do? And I put myself through that in 2018 before I moved out here in 2019. And that was a huge, huge learning point for me. That was probably the biggest learning point in my life. And being able to do something that I thought I'd never be able to do, which was an Ironman. I couldn't swim very well. I, even though I was in the Navy and I went to sea, I couldn't swim very well. I could probably put 400 meters together. I couldn't put 4 kilometer swim together. So again, there was another area there. I was like, okay, well, if I sign up to this, it will teach me things I've never done before. But also, it's a huge, huge achievement. It was meant to be climb Everest. That
Mhm.
was meant to happen 10 years ago this year, actually, when I was turning 30. I wanted to climb Everest. I wanted to be at Everest Base Camp by my birthday. It all got cancelled because of the earthquake that was there and destroyed base camp. So I was a bit disappointed. I was like, what can I do instead? I went online, I went on Google, and I just typed in, what is what challenge can I give myself that's something like climbing Mount Everest? And then there was an advertisement came up on Google and in the normal advertisement bit, and it
Oh,
said
targeted that.
that more people have summited Everest than finished an Ironman. And I was like, okay, cool, Ironman, that could be something. And that's what got Ironman in my head. And I was like, well, I'm not a very good swimmer. I like cycling, I like running. Let's see what happens. And I signed up for an Ironman then. And yeah, it is. It's still a fact to this day. There is still more people that have climbed to the summit of Mount Everest than completed an Ironman. So that was my challenge. That was my big
Interesting.
thing
Why do
for
you
me.
think that is? Like, is there like is there something about Everest and the name tag, or that I mean, you have to train hard for both.
Yeah.
One is more,
Uh,
Ironman is more accessible, arguably.
Yeah, it's obviously Everest isn't just an easy thing that people can just go and do. Okay, it's one of those crazy things. But when you look at Everest, and I'm to be honest, to this day now, I'm happy that I didn't do Everest, because of the way you look at the pictures. I know people that have done it, and all it looks like every single time they get an opening to go to the summit, it's just a huge line of ants that go from the summit all the way down to Camp 4 or whatever which one it is. And I was like, cool, like yeah, just in a long line. The reason why people suffer and die up there is because of the other people holding them up.
Mm.
Because there's so many people that are not experienced, okay, that they pay all this money to the Sherpas that take them up there and they're not experienced and they end up having problems and then they cause that problem further down. It's like the domino effect. Okay, it will happen. And the people that are further down inside the dead zone end up being there for way too long and end up dying. And so yeah, I wouldn't want my fate to be in somebody else's hands because of someone that's ill prepared. Where with an Ironman, it's an individual effort. There's it's me, my bike, and my training. That's it. That's what's going to make me do this. It's not going to be somebody else and waiting in the queue.
What is
So
like an allegory for like why you only have A players in your business? So they'll hold
yeah,
you up and you'll die on the top of a mountain.
exactly, exactly.
So
So with Magnifyde, sorry, going back to your question you had originally, why Magnifyde? Why now? I was very lucky to be in the right place, right time. That was a good thing for me. I came out here to Mexico in 2019. Um, with the unknown, literally the unknown, not knowing what to do, didn't have any real plans to do anything. I had a buffer. I had houses that I rented out. I had some money that I'd saved up and money that I got given when I left the Navy. So I didn't have that like under pressure to go and work and earn some money right away to pay bills. So I was able to really have that no pressured approach into my next career or my next just anything really. I didn't know where I was going to go. I'd been offered a job in motorsport engineering because of my background in the Navy, and I was going to be able, and I haven't even covered this bit yet, but that was going to be my dream job. That was going to be something that I wanted to do all my life, that I could be in a Formula One team. I even bought a house right next to Red Bull Racing because that was kind of where I wanted to be. And from that, getting the offer of the job in Red Bull Racing as well. And I got offered a job with Renault, who are now a different team, but I had that lined up, and I took the unknown over knowing what I could do for the rest of my life because it was going to be something completely different, coming to a different country, trying something out. And I'm so happy I was able to do that. And I think having the degree underneath me, having everything else set up that worked out with being able to give me that no pressure approach, I was able to kind of look at other things. And that's when the sales world kind of came in front of me and never sold anything before in my life. Obviously working and doing the coffee shop and all that sort of stuff was probably, yeah, I probably had little sales tactics in there, but I didn't realize I had them. It was only when I started selling timeshare in a local hotel that my parents owned a timeshare in. And that was the only reason why I had a connection with them. It wasn't I went out to look for a random sales job that was gonna, it was I met the director who sold my parents and he asked me to come down and visit them. And it was from that he sold me in coming down, working for between 7 a.m. and 12 every day. I get a free breakfast, take people around the tour, have some fun, go home midday, and then continue my day. And I was like, okay. And then very quickly realized that was a great choice. And learning sales through that director, he's an incredible guy. Knows he's been in sales for 25 years. He's at the top of his game. He's amazing, and he was a great mentor to have. And he taught me very, very quickly how to sell.
What a plot
And
twist. We love a plot twist. Like
yeah,
dream job, Formula One, lined up, ready to leave the military and like switch out to Mexico, nothing lined up, like the unknown. Um,
yeah.
so from that first sales job, what did you learn about yourself and what did you learn about sales and business and leadership?
Yeah, I learned two really, really important things. Okay, number one is that I learned why people buy. I That was the big thing. That was a game changer. It isn't just turn up, show someone a nice shiny object and get them to pay for it. It was understanding why they need it, or why they want it, or why this becomes valuable to them. And for me, it was finding out why people go on vacations. And I found out very quickly the vacation side of things wasn't just, well, especially when you have families in front of you, it isn't about, okay, cool, you can do this for the rest of your life and you can do it at a discounted price. Okay, I don't, the price side of thing isn't even an issue whatsoever. It's more of showing them what it will do and what the outcome's going to be of having that product and having that service. And when I learned, it was from Neil, the director that was there at the hotel with us, and it was understanding that when I was talking to someone about their timeshare, and I was like, and I was just we were talking about what they do, how to use it, and Neil asked great questions to get the emotions out of people. And there was somebody there that had already bought, and they were talking about what they do, and Neil said some great things to him. He said to him, okay, like, where are you? Where are you at right now with your life? What's going on? It's like, oh yeah, I got my kids, got this. Okay, cool. The kids are under 10. Okay, so the kids are going to be going on vacation with their family for years to come. And the first thing he did was went straight to the kids and he started asking the kids questions. And he said to them, he's like, okay, where's been your best vacation you've ever been? And they were talking about Disney. They were talking about sort of really cool places this family had been to. And the kids were giving so much detail about this vacation. They were talking about the foods they ate. They even talked about the color of the bed sheet. They were talking about literally the details are unreal. And he kept asking questions. He kept, oh, and I was like, why is he asking these kids all these random questions? And the kids were telling him all these things. The kids were getting super excited. And then he said to the kids, it was amazing. He said to the kids, so what did you get for Christmas that year? And the kids both looked up because the vacation was about 3 years ago. And the kids both looked at each other. And then they looked at their parents. And the parents like, what do you mean? You've forgotten what we bought you for Christmas? They're like, and the dad's like, I got you this bike. And the kids, oh yeah, 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 you got me the bike. And so Neil looked at their parents and he said, look, you guys are in a great position right now. You can give your kids the memories that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. You're going to be able to spend time with them doing this with your kids that you've just seen there, that they remember everything about their best vacations. They remember everything about this. They don't remember what they get for Christmas that you saved up all year for, that now the kids are forgetting about. This is what your kids are going to. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. These kids understand the kids love the vacations, the kids love the memories. The parents need to buy the memories. And the parents sold like they bought like an 85 grand package off them because they knew that for the next sort of 10 to 15 years of their kids' lives, they're going to be going on vacation with them still. They're going to be able to get the memories. They're going to get that quality time together. And I was like, that was it. The light bulb went off, and I was like, people buy for memories, people buy for outcomes,
I
and it's
love that
amazing.
you just shared that. I literally was recording another episode this morning, and the guest said that he changed his title in the household to Chief Memory Maker at a certain point, realizing that creating experiences and memories for the family was his ultimate like responsibility.
Yeah,
So that's such a amazing timing of you sharing that story.
yeah,
So
it's crazy.
cool.
And the other lesson I learned was you need to sell what you believe in. And up until that point, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really have a demand in my life for a timeshare. I was not, for me, I wouldn't go to an all-inclusive hotel and sit there for 7 days, which I had done before with my family because that was a very European thing to do. But that wasn't my choice. I had to go on vacation with my parents when I was young. But when I get to go on my own vacations and go on my own trips and do my own things, I probably one of my last things on my list would be to book into an all-inclusive hotel and stay there for a week. So for me, I was like, I didn't get it. But then when I understood why people buy, you can then adjust on the product. And when you see a demand and when you see people really achieving things from these services and these products, then you can understand that there is a demand for it. And from that, even though I've used it, my parents use it, I do see a value in it, and I do see certain people need it for what they do. So it's very easy to sell when you can see the product and you can see the value in it. But there's a lot of people out there that sell things that do not mean anything to them, and it could be fraudulent. It could be something that they don't believe in. I believe that you cannot be sustainable in your sales of selling something you don't truly believe in, and that's where that allowed me to kind of come away from timeshare and go into what I did. But obviously, COVID was the biggest deciding factor of where I change and what I do. And for me, I think that was amazing for that. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with COVID being the best thing that happened in their life. But for me, it was amazing. It came at the right time
Yeah. Never
because,
let a disaster go
yeah,
to waste, right?
yeah, huh?
Never let a good disaster go to waste. Like there's always an
Exactly.
opportunity to be found.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. I came back from my honeymoon in February 2020, and I come back to work for a week, and there was obviously the news came out. They're like, okay, they're stopping flights. Everyone's got to leave. We're in the biggest holiday location in Mexico. That's 99% of the reason people are here
Mm.
is for vacations and temporary time. So it was obviously the hotels were shutting, everything else was shutting. So our job literally disappeared in a matter of weeks. And the bosses were like, don't worry, like in about 3 weeks, everything will be back to normal and they'll be all coming back and everything will be okay. Hold out. That 3 weeks turned into 3 months, and that 3 months turned into I don't know what's going to happen next. So that was for me. I was able to pivot, and I was able to kind of see, okay, well, I know for a fact that I want to be in sales. I loved it. I loved everything about sales. I used that time in the start of COVID to do a lot more courses, to do some mentorships, and to look at really what I can do to perfect the psychology and why people buy, all those sort of things that really does interest me. And so I was able to really understand that really, really well. And during that time, that was when I got a call from a nutrition and fitness coach in the UK who knew me from the nutrition and fitness courses I'd already done when I was doing my triathlons. And he said to me, he's like, hey man, I heard you in sales. I seen you talking about it on Instagram and stuff like that. I've now taken my business completely online because of our gyms of everything is shut. Would you fancy helping me trying to get some more members, and if I put them through to you, you can sell them. I was like, yeah, sure. And that was when it went crazy. And I realized how much you can sell with something you totally believe in when it comes to nutrition and fitness, because that is my identity. That is who I am. That was what I do every day, no matter what. So when I get to sell it, I get to talk about it every day. I get to do it every day. Yeah, the closing percentage was through the roof and it was incredible. And I loved it.
What a great reminder too to like talk about what you're passionate about, talk about what you're doing, talk about what you're like considering doing, that other people get to connect those dots and offer you opportunities, right? Like
Yeah, it
your
was.
story is so interesting and serendipitous. Like you were here, correct me if I'm wrong, on a vacation that your parents had planned. You met your future wife, not knowing that full circle brought you to Mexico to then sell timeshares, to then learn this craft that ultimately gave you the opportunity to move into something you're passionate about in selling as then and then into an industry, selling in an industry that you're so passionate about. Like what an amazing, you know,
Yeah,
adventure.
it has been, and it's been so much fun. And I've done things that I've like I take myself out of my comfort zone as much as I possibly can. And when you've got to speak in front of people and when you go meet people, and it was then when COVID kind of went away and I was selling at a very high rate, this was when Magnifyde really came into its own because I needed to have an academy. I needed to train more versions of me. And so I was at the first time I was like, okay, now I'm going from being a sales guy, ex-military sales guy, to now being a sales coach because I need more versions of me. And it was the only way I was going to get more versions of me was to train them in the same way that I do it. So then you've got to use everything I've ever learned from the military in leadership and talking to people and understand what they need, to then everything I've learned in engineering to build out the academy so that we had all of the courses and everything built out there. And then from that, obviously the sales side of things as well, to be able to get people in to be able to do it as well. And so it's that full circle of like there was nothing that I'd ever look back on in my life and think, oh, that was a waste of time. Every single thing that I've done has had a massive part of the next level. I think if I missed one of them out, I don't think I would be here now and talking to you right doing this. So
Yeah, the
it's
skill
crazy.
stack that you have built is very unique, right?
Mm,
And I think there's something to be said as well for really walking the talk, right? Like you really exemplify what you stand for in your business, in your life. Like you stand for fitness. You like your life is built around fitness. You have built communities around fitness. And so, then when you go into your business and are talking about the value of health, healthy lifestyle, fitness, like it's such an aligned, like integral place to be.
mm, it is.
I'm curious, as you've gone through all of these things, you talked a little bit about, leadership, but is there something, a belief or a style of leadership that you really embody, or even like a myth that you've had to kind of unlearn about leadership?
Um, a myth that I've had to unlearn. There has been a few things I've had to unlearn, which is there is different ways of being a leader. And when you're in the military, there's only one way you get taught, and that's a military leadership. Okay, that's more direct. Okay, the person you're talking to doesn't can't just have a go into sort of like a temper and then say I quit and then walk out. It doesn't work like that in the military. You've got to give a year's notice. You've got to go through all the different chains of command. You've got to do all different things. So what you can say to someone in the environment you're in, and when you discipline someone in the military, it's not like, oh, you did this wrong, you've been a bad person, I'll slap you on the hand. That's like, you did this wrong, you're gonna kill someone, and
Mm.
you're putting my life in danger if you do this wrong. And being an aircraft engineer, you can't make mistakes on aircrafts. You kill people. And so when someone does do something wrong, it's you get disciplined at the highest level. And like you get there's a lot of punishment. And so when somebody does something wrong who's working with me, I can't go down, I can't say the things to them that I would say to to one of the people that I'd be in charge of,
Mm.
because number one, they'll probably sue me. Number two, they'll be quit within 10 minutes of me saying it to them. And so you have to then think about things in a different way. You have to look at it in a different way. And going from the military standard to a civilian standard is huge, and unlearning a lot of the discipline ways that I had to go through was very, very important. And luckily to this day that hasn't had to come up um in that situation. So yeah, it's been quite lucky.
That is a big shift from the command and control and a very defined path to the reality of entrepreneurship, which is like a panacea of opportunity in different ways. And always joke that entrepreneurship is the self-development none of us signed up for.
There's things you
Um,
definitely didn't know about.
So I love to talk about entrepreneurship and leadership and really the ability to build and define your own path, your own future, build a business based on your values and bring in people who share those and put those out into the world. What does success on your terms mean for you?
For me, success is freedom. Okay, that's huge. Okay, that's if you create your own freedom, then in my eyes that's successful. Okay, because it's not about having that huge pile of money. It's not about having an empire of a business that you've got to be in 24/7. Okay, and that's where it's it's you look at the entrepreneur and the fisherman, and it's a very good way of putting it. Okay, we're talking about entrepreneurship. We're not talking about the fisherman right now, but the entrepreneur is talking about being the fisherman in the future. But how many years and how much dedication and how much sacrifice is it got to take to get you to that position where you could have had that from the start if you positioned yourself correctly? And for me, it's positioning the business correctly. And I've learned a lot in this business. And I've changed a lot since I've started this business. And we've pivoted a few times now. And going from having as many employed salespeople as possible to then being as lean as possible to be able to work with a very small bunch of guys and girls who I can really perfect with and help them on the highest level rather than trying to spread my time and load over everyone in the business and be able to try and give them as much value as possible being an employee, which doesn't in my eyes won't work as much because then I've got to employ more managers and I've got to do that. And then it obviously that side of things for me isn't freedom. That's for me now. Okay, I'm going to now have to then manage all of these. Okay, I have to do this, this, and this. Build more people in. Okay, keep growing up. And then I look at the long term. I'm 40 this year. I want to have kids. I want to be a full-time dad. The way to be a full-time dad is to have freedom. If I think about now building my business to be okay, I want it to be like 100 employees in the next 5 years. Well, if I do that, there's 5 years of me not having a kid. Or if I do have a kid, the kid's not going to remember who I am because I'm not going to be there. So I've got to really understand what I need to do right now. What's going to bring me the freedom? And so we've pivoted so that we can sell our own products more than we can just sell for other people. And we can be an outsourced agency, which is great. And I can train salespeople to sell on behalf of other people and have me training them up all the time. But our biggest value in our business is being able to sell our own products and understand what people need. Okay, so we can sell the consulting and we can sell wherever else people need help with. Okay, the systems, the automations, the workflows, all of the stuff that helps coaches get to that sort of 100K a month level, which is what we've always worked on, but without just having to put people in there and loads of salespeople and then worrying about it after. It's all about the systems, it's all about the structure, it's all about the ease to be able to get people there. And that's for me is I want to be able to get as free as soon as possible.
Mm.
Legally. I
How,
say legally, 'cause there's other ways of doing it, but yeah.
yeah. How have you known when you've needed to make those pivots, those shifts? Like, what are the signs that you're like, oh, it's time to adjust the model?
My personal life, they're the
Mm.
signs. It's not I can sit there all day and go with business mentors, and me and you have sat down and spoke about this many times. I think that for me, it's actually just sitting back and looking around me and seeing the closest people and thinking, okay, are these the people that I care about the most? And if it is, what can I do to make sure that I can make the best things out of that? And yeah, my business has taken over a lot of my time and effort since I started it. And every entrepreneur listening to this right now is like, yeah, that's exactly why you're an entrepreneur, because it takes up all your time and effort. But there's different ways of looking at it. There's different ways of doing it. And for me, I think leveraging the income to buy other assets for them to be able to make me a passive income, okay, so that retirement can happen earlier, is an obvious thing to do. and also be able to have a fun, easy, which is okay, this sounds crazy for an entrepreneur to say this, but a fun, easy role in my business that
Mhm.
allows me to take the time that I want off and be able to maybe have an Easter, maybe have a Christmas, you know what I mean? Be able to actually enjoy it. And then, okay, well, who do I employ and where? And it's who comes into my business to take everything away from me
Mm.
the easiest way possible instead of just having the masses.
I
And
love that you said that though. I think I agree. Like people are like, oh, but you do this because you're passionate. Yeah. And it doesn't have to subsume you. Like everyone has different priorities and it's the intentionality, right? And I love it. And I was like, what is the KPI? And you were like, people around me. Fantastic, right? That's such a great leading indicator.
yeah,
What
it's
is the role because as you said it's like the idea is ideally to catch it before anything kind of fails, right? Which I've seen you pivot your business, so I know you've been able to see that a change is needed, make the change and keep the momentum and keep things going, which is incredible. But I always want to hear, what do you think the role of failure or regret is in building success and understanding and delivering on your definition of it?
um I never really say the words failure or regret because I think you either win or you learn. And so it'd be always a lesson learned. A failure of a business is a lesson. Okay. I think that some of them happen, well, they will happen. Okay. If you're going to take on many different things and do it, and nothing, not 100% of your business ventures will never be successful. There's always going to be something that will fail somewhere, but it's testing. Okay. And that's why I look at it. As long as you're doing something that is within your limits. Okay. If you're doing something that you're able to do, okay. If you try and like just dip your toe in something in a new business, okay, I'll put 10% of my time into that. Well, guess what? You're gonna get 10% outcome. If you
Mm.
can't put 110% into something, then don't even try it because that's where you're gonna fail because you're gonna fail because your approach to it is wrong. And that's the biggest thing that I look at. Okay, can I do it? If I can, will I do it? Like my stress test I did, this is why I do what I do, because I go back to 2018 when I put myself in that stress test, when I was training 20 hours a week, I was working a 40 odd hour job, and I was renovating a house fully on my own. I was like, well, look, I was able to do that and put 100% into each one of those that I did. I qualified for the World Championships in Ironman. I was able to get promoted in my job and still have like, they didn't want me to leave. And then on top of that, I rented out my house for, I think my house was renting out for nearly £500 more a month than any other house in that entire area because I did it at such a high spec and I did it at such a high level because I wanted to be able to do it at the best I could possibly do it. I wasn't going to go in and go, oh, I'll just put a few bits of paint around here. I redid the entire house. I knocked walls down. I rebuilt the entire. I actually rebuilt everything. I went literally back down to brick and rebuilt the entire house on how I think it should look, because I wanted to give it the most value. And also, it was going to be originally it was going to be for me to live in, but when I found out that I was going to come to Mexico, that was then going to become a rental. Um, so it was at the highest spec possible of what I could do, and I knew I could put 100% into that. And my job was always the same. Any job that I've ever had, I've put 100% into. And it's the same with this, with my businesses. The same with my fitness, the same with what I do with the community here in Playa. I've never missed a workout, and that's another thing we can talk about. But it's huge for what I believe in is what you can put in is what you're gonna get out.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, you have built an incredible community here in Playa. For those listening, Rob and I live in the same same city, and fitness and business are passions, and that's how we have gotten to know each other. But from working out by yourself when you first moved here to building a 800 person strong community in fitness, like, what has that adventure been like? We haven't even touched on that. We'll probably have to do a whole another episode, but
Yeah, that's been my little passion project. It's been I like I said, you can only do something consistently if you enjoy it. And for me, the most consistent thing I've ever done in my life is my fitness, is my nutrition, is my health, is understanding that if you can, and another thing with business, if you can turn up in a different way and really understand your body and understand that you can put your body in a great position, you can do that with your business as well. And when I was training and when I was training for Ironman, when I was obviously the military side of things as well, I wanted to continue that. That was like whether I go bankrupt tomorrow and go bust and I live under a bridge, I can guarantee you now I'll probably still exercise underneath that bridge. It's not something that will ever go away. And that is my identity. Everybody knows me as a fitness guy. Everybody knows me as a guy that trains a lot. And for me, it was the consistency of my training allows me to be consistent in everything else I do. And it started it's a couple of people followed me and a couple of people started coming to my workouts that I was doing. I wasn't hosting, I wasn't advertising that I would be I want to train people or anything like that. I was just turning up at the track every single day and I was doing my training, I was doing my body weight workouts, I was doing the sprints around the track, and I was just really enjoying what I was doing every single day, being in paradise, being able to do it completely different to what I was in the UK. Having like a quick thing about the UK is that you get seasonal depression. It's a real thing. So the winter months for training, the winter months for exercise, it's horrendous. Especially someone who likes being outdoors like myself and cycling and running and everything like that. It's horrible when you're in the wind, in the rain, in the snow, the frost. Out here, it's not. Out here, it's like deja vu every single day. Okay, it's Groundhog Day. It can be the middle of January. It can be the middle of July. It can be this. It's literally the same temperature, which I love, and I'm a consistent guy. So whatever consistency
Hot or
is good for
better?
me. Exactly. It works for me. Okay. If the environment works for me, then I'm there. And for me, it's great for to be able to be consistent. And so other people saw me doing it. Obviously, saw me changing, saw me what I was doing. And then we went from having two or three people for a little bit of time to having a few more people following us, a few more people coming in, asking to join. And now, yeah, to this day, we did a workout this morning. We had 60 odd people that turned up to each one of the workouts, and we've had over 80 people. We then realized that this is something that can grow very big, and I've been consistent with that, and I think we've only ever had to cancel two workouts in the entire year that we've been doing it, and it's tomorrow's our first year anniversary, and it's crazy to think that in the last year we have been able to be consistent. We've been able to do it and turn up and show up, and I think that's why so many people come and join us is because it's there. It's always going to happen. They know it's going to happen. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're getting nearly 100 people turning up every single
Crazy.
time. It's incredible. And it's surrounding yourself by like-minded individuals that I want to be around. So I'm intrinsically motivated to do this every single time rather than just, oh, I'm turning up for the people. No, the people are the accountability and the people are the ones that make it the community, which makes it fun. It makes it enjoyable. But for me, training is going to happen, yes or yes, whether it's on my own or with 100 people. But now this community is now turned into a business.
Mhm.
And it's now in a position where we've got pdcfitnessclub.com and we're building out the events and we're building out all the different things that we can do. We've got merchandise, we've got different things happening every single week. I think we've got 6 workouts a week that we put together from Monday all the way through to Saturday. And there's people turning up to every single one. I host 3 of them myself. We've got other coaches in there now. We've got collaborations with different businesses and local community and support and service providers so that we can provide as much as we can and much value as we can for all of our members. And yeah, it soon grows. And yeah, we're up to thousands of followers now on Instagram. We've got over 800 active members that come to the workouts, which is crazy.
What do you think your biggest lesson around that kind of building a community, building a movement, and then it sort of naturally evolving into a business has been?
Um, I learned this from lead generation. You provide somebody with so much value for free that they consistently ask you to pay for it. That's when you realize that you've got something, and that's your call to action. That you don't turn that into money. You don't say, okay, now pay me, because then I'm like, oh, we've got to pay. And there's the divide, there's the break there. There's the wall that stops people coming in. If you can give something and have a lead gen source that gives so much value that people ask to pay for it, then you know that you've got something that's going to create demand. And that's what I use. That is our main pillar of what we do. Okay. The workouts will always be free. So we've got 6 workouts a week at 6 a.m. every single week without fail. Nothing will ever get cancelled unless natural disasters happen or whatever.
We get
But
hurricanes here.
we get hurricanes here, so that's the reason why. Hurricanes, bad storms, okay, it can get dangerous. And so that's the only reason why we would end up having to cancel. And we've had to cancel twice in the last year. And if we consistently have those, people are turning up, they're getting workout. Anyone can go work out anywhere they want. Anyone can go for a run. but it's being in part of a group, being in part of a community of like-minded people that are pushing each other, that are joining the movement, that are really helping each other be the best they can possibly be. And then from that, you can monetize these people because now they're seeing that they're part of a group, they're part of a team, they're part of an identity that they want to wear the colors, they want to wear the uniform, they want to wear the logo. So
Mm.
everything that I create, every time I get a bunch of tank tops made or some t-shirts made, they fly out the door. Every time I put on an event and it's a private event you got to buy tickets for, we sell out in less than 48 hours and we have hundreds of tickets available. And that's where it ends up turning into something bigger. And that was where I was like, okay, now I can really work on this. And now because we've got that identity as the fitness place in Playa, and we're turning Playa into the kind of fitness capital of Mexico, it's amazing because people are coming here to Mexico and coming here to Playa del Carmen to get fit, to be part of our group. So this is where the next sort of level comes in, which is going to be the retreats and having people coming in and doing the huge sort of events and everything like that, and working with bigger people and working with all sorts of different organizations here and creating the wellness weekends and everything else, the fitness festivals that we're putting in place. It's huge, okay, and it's amazing, and there's so many different areas we can go down. It's just like being the spider in the middle of a huge fitness web, and that's what I love.
Incredible. So let's talk about sales a little bit because money is the lifeblood of a business. And, often we talk about a leader's role is to make sure the company stays afloat. You, through your business, get exposed to so many owners who want to improve their sales.
Mhm.
Are there common threads, trends, places where people most often go wrong that you see in your day to day?
Yeah, every client I've ever worked with has exactly the same traits. There are coaches. Everyone I work with are nutrition and fitness coaches. They coach. They know how to change people's lives. They know how to transform them into Greek gods. Honestly, it's insane what these guys can do. But the one thing they can't do is they can't sell their own product. They can't sell themselves. They undervalue themselves. They don't know how to be able to get somebody to go from, oh, I know where to go to here's my money. And so that's where we come in, and that is the difference. And I could have easily, and I've got nutrition and fitness qualification myself. I could have become a nutrition and fitness coach. The reason I became a sales coach is because I can fit that gap in the market, which is huge. Every every nutrition and fitness coach thinks they can sell. And the first thing I do when I meet them is I look, can you please send me one of your sales calls? I just want to be able to check it out. And they do the exact same thing on every single call. They go naturally into what they're comfortable at doing, which is coaching. So they'll coach the person on the call and they'll tell them, okay, your problem's this. Okay, you need to do this, and you need to do this. And then when you go there and the lead on the phone will be like, thank you so much for this free advice. And I'm gonna go away now because you've given me some confidence I can do it on my own. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, but you can buy it." He said, well, I don't need to buy it because you've just sold it to me, and you've just told me all the answers. I don't need to. And so you've got to show somebody, like the same thing I learned at the very very start of my sales is the outcome. What's going to happen if you have this product, not how to use this product. And that's the thing that coaches can't do. They don't know how to tell people what's going to happen next. They tell people what's going to happen when they're doing it, and that's their biggest problem.
Interesting. So, what do you think is most vital for entrepreneurs and executives, the audience that most listens to this, to understand about sales in order to responsibly scale their business, right? What is most vital? What might be one or more things?
Okay, one thing that I always say this all the time, okay, it's come from a book that I read, which is Buy Back Your Time. Obviously, like I said, freedom's important, buy back your time. And in there's a quote, which is 80% good is 100% incredible or 100% amazing, which means no one that's going to sell your product is ever going to be as good as you at being able to explain your product because you're the one that's passionate about it. You're the one that you love your product, but you need to be able to hand it over to somebody else to be able to give you your time so you can work on your business, that they can sell it for you. If they're going to sell it at 80% as good as what you can, that's still incredible because you're going to be able to get that back. Okay. And lots of people think that if they can't sell it as good as the owner, then they're never going to be able to be good in the business, and they don't ever keep their job. The owner compares them to themselves. You can't. You need to compare it with what the value is of that time you're getting back. And for any entrepreneurs listen to this and they're thinking about bringing in a salesperson, you can't bring in a salesperson that you straight away think is going to be able to sell better than you. Number one, they're not the boss of the business. They don't own the business. They're not motivated to keep it afloat. They're just motivated to fill their pockets because they're a salesperson and that's all they want is a commission. They don't own their business. So you need to be able to understand that that person's not going to give it as 150% as what the entrepreneur will when they're on a sales call, when they're doing something compared to what the salesperson will. And so you need to be able to understand that there's going to be a little bit of a gap there. But with an outsourced sales team and you have a team, this is now going to increase availability for people when times can be booked in for calls and for sales calls because now the entrepreneur's doing the operations calls in the morning. They're then trying to sort out other stuff, putting out some fires for a few more hours. Then they've got like that 2 hour gap in the day that they can possibly do a sales call. That they're stressed and they've already got these other things on their mind. And someone's messaging them in the background. They're always distracted. And then they're like, oh yeah, like imagine if you had 3 or 4 people that could take 8 hours worth of calls a day and give you all of that extra space. The next problem that entrepreneur is going to have is employment in their business to keep the operations going because they're going to have an influx with clients that's going to be so much more than they've ever had.
Mm.
The reason why the bottleneck's always there is always with the person at the top because it's hard to let go of what you're passionate about.
Yes. Yes. What a perfect summary. So, we've talked about so many of the things you've built, the direction you're going. I always want to know kind of what's next. I saw that you changed your Instagram name recently. Is that indicating a shift that's coming?
Personally, yes. Instagram and social media is a great way of being able to sell. And it's a great way of being able to show things on there. And I've been doing a lot of tests. The last sort of 6 months, I've really put into what I'm where I'm going with marketing. And I've never had to do marketing up until now. I've always been word of mouth. I think what we've been doing with coaches over the years has been great. Coaches just mention my name. I'm on another call with another coach to be able to then provide our service to them. When it became a point where we wanted to pivot the business and sell our own products, this was where I had to kind of do marketing for myself. And this was where we obviously changed it up. And I started going down the route of like trying to teach people how to sell on social media. It didn't feel natural. It wasn't for me. There's so many people out there doing some incredible things. And then I realized that actually, what do I do? Who am I? What is my identity? My identity is fitness. My identity is the community driven things that I do, the PDC Fitness Club, all of the other things that involve that. They're all a business at the end of the day. They're all looked at in the exact same way I'd build a business, the exact same way as I'd do sales, the exact same way I turn up. The reason why I kind of consider myself to be good at sales and to be good at what I do is because of the way that I set my day up, which is exactly the same as building the community, exactly the same way as that. So now with the name change as Rob.pdc instead of Rob High Ticket Closer is now it shows like the development of what you do with communications, with sponsorships. We've been able to have collaborations. We've been able to talk to different kinds of people in different areas and different genres. Being able to use that sales approach on everything else you do, but also being able to put the business mindset into everything else. Because at the end of the day, it's still a business, and to have the right connections, to have the right the right contracts in place, everything else that you're going to put in is exactly the same as what I do when I build out the community. And now I've built this community from scratch all the way through to having thousands and thousands of people seeing it. I can now talk about that story and justify it on what I do and why I do the business side of things as well. So that's why I've changed a few things up. It's gonna be fun to see in the next few months. It's definitely had a much more positive output or outcome from the output I did from the other things that I put in together. And I think it makes more sense. It's me being more natural. It's me being me. It's what I do. If I could retire tomorrow, I'd run the fitness community for the rest of my life. If that's what I do, then that's what I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm going to show and why I do it with the business things that I do. And it I think the byproduct of something successful like that will always be the money anyway. that will always be the business area. It's not going to be done for free. It will always be done in a way to be able to make money, but the right way, the way that I love it and the way that I'm passionate about.
What a fantastic way to wrap up. We have 5 rapid fire questions that you can answer with as short an answer as you want. You can pass. We'll do those, and then we'll make sure that anyone who does want to find you knows where to find you. You ready?
Yep.
Awesome. What is one decision that changed everything for you as a leader?
The unknown. Going with the unknown. I decided to go with the unknown rather than the known.
Incredible. What does strategy feel like when you're doing it well?
Totally natural. Like what I like brushing your teeth.
Incredible. Is there a book, a podcast, or a person that really cracked something open for you?
Yes. Paul Moore will save my life. Or Paul Moore will save your life, the book's called, by Paul Moore. And there's only one paragraph in there that really stuck out to me. There's one little sentence, which was be a lighthouse and not a tugboat. And that is how I live my life right now.
Powerful. So powerful. And you absolutely exemplify that. So that's amazing. What's something you've said never again to in your business?
Being the yes guy. I can't be the yes guy anymore. I have been for a while, and it's easy to say yes, and I think it's so hard to say no. I need to start
Howard,
saying no
no.
more often.
If you had a free weekend and zero obligations, how would you spend it?
With my wife in Cozumel Island.
Oh,
Easy.
beautiful. Rob, thank you so much. For people who are interested to work with you, follow you, learn from you, work out with you, what's the best way to find you? We'll make sure it's in the show notes.
Easiest way, Instagram, rob.pdc. Or you can get hold of me on LinkedIn or with soon to be new YouTube channel that'll be coming out soon, which will be under rob.pdc as well.
So exciting. Rob, thank you so much for joining me on Builders, for sharing your incredible journey and all of your deep, deep knowledge. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been amazing. Awesome. Thank you.
That's a wrap for this episode of Builders, where we get real about what it actually takes to grow companies that perform without grinding you into the ground. If today's convo sparks something for you, here's what to do next. Follow the show, drop a 5-star review, and share it with someone else who's building big. Don't let it be lonely at the top. If you're ready for more clarity, more leadership freedom, and less of a duct tape and go growth vibe, let's connect. Book your free business breakdown call using the link in the show notes. In 30 minutes, I'll help you pinpoint where blockers in your time, team, or strategy are silently stalling your growth. Walk away with a personalized fix-it list that gives you the clarity you've been craving on what to shift now to regain traction and build momentum. For more tools, insights, and my no-fluff takes on leadership and scaling strategically, join the Builders Club, also linked in the show notes. You can also head over to leaderswhobuild.com, where you'll find all the links to peep my creds, see client wins, or just confirm that yes, I went to the gym today. Until next time, keep leading boldly, building smart, and living success on your terms.